There was no scholarship that I did not apply to, like whether I thought that I, qualified or not. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, Developing as Dr. K. I'm so excited that you guys have joined me today. Anytime that I get to help you guys out, it's another day of excitement for me. I just want to go ahead and hop right into the video. Today I'm going to be telling you guys about how I went through college, particularly my time at Spelman College, debt-free. Okay. So I am a Spelman alumna, class of 2017. I have to give you guys a little bit about my background and my journey through Spelman, just a little, so that you can understand when I say certain things, like about my experience, my journey, how I got through it without getting into debt. Okay, so at Spelman, we have this program called the Dual Degree Engineering Program. It's a mouthful. I know it's a lot. And the program's a lot. I mean, just the way it sounds, it just sounds like a lot because it is a lot. In this program, you're earning 2 degrees at the same time. So you're earning a degree in a base science. Like for me, it was computer science. Some people major in mathematics, economics, chemistry, biology, physics. There are a lot of things that you can major in during your time at Spelman. And whatever you major in at Spelman is truncated into a shorter program. Ideally, if you have certain background and certain things under your belt, then it will be 3 years at Spelman and you'll spend 2 years at an engineering institution. Now, this is very idealized, and a lot of people end up spending 4 years at Spelman. Some people end up spending 5 years at Spelman and doing 2 years at the institution, 3 years at the institution, 4 years at the institution. It's no reflection on the actual students. However, it is a reflection on our experience before entering Spelman, after we leave Spelman and go to these engineering institutions, the kind of structure and system that's there. There are some things that Spelman could do differently when it comes to this program, for sure. But a lot of it has to do with your preparedness before you come in and your support that you have when you're already at your engineering institution. My path was taking 4 years at Spelman and 2.5 years at my engineering institution. Literally, people are like, "Are you a career student?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it." So at Spelman, I spent my 4 years just like anybody else would normally, which was really nice because at the end of the 4 years, I got to graduate with my class. I got to be a part of all the senior activities. My engineering institution was Auburn University in Auburn, Alabama. I will talk about my experience transitioning from a HBCU to a PWI in another video. Before I got to Spelman, it was my dream school. So I already knew that I wanted to go to Spelman. When I toured it, it just made me want to go even more. Before I got there, my mom told me, "I don't know how we're gonna get you to Spelman." At this point, I had already received a lot of scholarship money from other places that were institutional-based scholarships, but Spelman was always on my heart. So I knew I wanted to go to Spelman. I knew that I had to get on the ball. Just like I did, a lot of people apply to Spelman expecting to get a partial, if not full, ride. Spelman is a private institution, and they don't give out a lot of scholarship money on the front end. Now, things are changing now where they're starting to give more scholarships. If you went to Spelman, you know. If you know, then you know. It is very difficult to get a scholarship from Spelman. So even though and I didn't know that going in because I was a first generation college student. I didn't know anything about college, applying to school. All I knew is that I was supposed to go. So I had to figure out how to get there. The first thing that I did was the summer before my senior year, I started looking at all these scholarships. I typed in every kind of thing you can imagine. Scholarships for Black women, scholarships for women, scholarships for engineers, scholarship for computer scientists, scholarships for STEM majors, right? I typed all those things in on Google to try and see what could I find, you know? Now, the summer before is when a lot of scholarships open. So I thought, you know, I'm making good pace, I'm doing everything good, it's cool, right? So I'm putting in all these scholarship applications. Then they have these things that are like no essay scholarships, right? And in my mind, I'm like, these are weird. Like, why would they even have no essay scholarships? Like, what is that? Like, you're telling me that I'm gonna get a scholarship without putting in work? I already knew something was off with that. It turns out that most of those scholarships were drawing based. It's like a lottery, like 1 in a million. Not really, that's not the actual statistic, but it's like a drawing, basically. So it's just a bit of luck. But I kept applying because I didn't know, I didn't understand. As the summer went on, I started seeing scholarships like the Bill Gates Millennium Scholarship, Coca-Cola Scholarship. So I started applying to some of those scholarships as well. Back in the day when Gates Millennium was well and alive, we had to fill out 8 essay applications. And it was tough because they were up to 1,000 words each. And the questions were kind of, you know, really trying to get at who you were as a person, what your goals are, what you're seeking to do in life. I knew that I wanted to be impactful in STEM, an advocate, a voice for Black people in STEM, right? So I was able to talk about that in my essays. I knew that I wanted justice for people. I was able to talk about that. I knew that I didn't have money, right? So I was able to talk about that. I knew that I was already a leader because in high school, I was in so many clubs and organizations. I was on the student, what's it called? Like the student body, something. I was a National Honor Society scholar, so I was on the board for that. I was in Key Club, I was volunteering with them. I was in DECA at one point, and I was a cheerleader. In my senior year, I became a captain. I was in theater, right? And I was directing and writing plays, you know. Several things that I could speak to. I danced pretty much all of my life up until that point, still dancing with my church. Because I had a little more experience, I was able to do some leading there. There were several opportunities that I had taken to do community service efforts, right? Volunteering for homeless shelters, volunteering with nursing homes, doing performances for dance, doing fundraising efforts. We would go out and teach young girls in camps about cheerleading. I was in pageants, so I was able to do community service as a part of the pageant. From Key Club, where we were doing community cleanups. There are several opportunities that I had to do community service. Up until that point of me starting to apply to these scholarships, I had accumulated about 2,400 hours of community service. But the point is, I had done community work, and not only had I done community work, but I was also a leader, right? And that's what a lot of scholarships look for. They want to know, are you active in your community? Are you planning to continue to be active in your community, right? So I was already, because I was already active in my community, they had no reason to doubt that I wouldn't continue those efforts. Because once you start doing community service, you really see the impact that you make, right? So being able to talk about that impact and being able to talk about how you plan to continue having impact, or how you want to change the type of impact that the community service work that you've been doing or how leadership goes in specific organizations, being able to talk about those things is really important. And hopefully it informs the things that you plan to do while you're in college. People talk about, their own life experiences and how it's, affected the things that they care about and the things that matter to them. So for example, some people are actually food insecure, right? Even while they're applying to scholarships and things, they're food insecure. Maybe they want to talk about a community garden, community greenhouse, right? And talk about food delivery, food accessibility, but you have to look around in your life and in your community and see the things that you want to change. Talk about how you plan to do those changes. It needs to be something that you're informed about and something that you actually care about. So don't make up anything about, you don't have to make up anything about your life. If you didn't have a struggle story, that's fine. I didn't have a struggle story to talk about. And I said that in my essays. Like, I don't have the hard life that some of my colleagues have had to have. However, I know I do need this money and I need it because I want to do some community work. I want to be a leader. I want to create change so that there won't have to be those same kind of barriers for minorities, people of color, women, into entering STEM fields and staying in STEM fields. So I was able to talk about all those things. So basically, from this whole little rundown talk, what you should get is that I was very active in my community. I was a leader. I kept record of the things that I did, and I was able to speak to the things that I did. Okay, so that's one part of it, right? And I did a lot of it, right? I didn't just do it like once every semester or once every few months. I probably ran my parents all around my city and all around Georgia way too much, okay? And I'm so grateful to them for it. I'm so appreciative to my family for being supportive of me. But I definitely was consistent, right? And my recommenders were also able to talk about that too, So that's the first thing, do the work. Now the next part was me actually putting in the applications. Hey everybody, just wanted to let you know that I'm gonna put a pause right here, put a stop on it. We'll be right back with part 2. The video is a little bit too long. I'm still new at it and I'm getting adjusted to it. So stay tuned for part 2 to keep learning about scholarships. I had people read over my essays. They offered great feedback. I had my parents to read over them. I had my friends to read over them. I contacted previous scholarship recipients of the particular scholarships that I was applying to for them to read over them. You have to welcome critique. I know that we're in this new stage of society where we don't want to be criticized. We don't want your critique. Well, if you want to apply for scholarships and get some money, you're going to have to be criticized a little bit, and that's okay. You don't need to take things personal just because somebody tells you that they don't agree with you. It's just that sometimes there's things that you can change and there are things that you can do better. So in the spirit of doing better, I strongly suggest that you get some people that are going to offer you some great feedback. Get people that you can trust.